Welcome to Dollars and Cents. Our podcast is designed to provide listeners with financial advice in a language you can understand. Created and hosted by Marc Freedman, President and CEO at Freedman Financial, he discusses timely topics that help individuals and families make smart financial decisions. Count on lots of energy, candid discussion, and a few laughs. And now, here's your host of Dollars and Cents, Marc Freedman of Freedman Financial.
Welcome back to another edition of Dollars and Cents. My name is Marc Freedman, and I'm here to provide you with some financial advice in a language you can understand. I wanted to tell you a little story today that goes out to parents of children who are at college. I wanted to share this story of a visit that I made to Merrimack College this past week. I was asked to speak at the business school to some of the students in the entrepreneurship program. I actually spoke to 3 classes, but one of them had 22 students in it. It was a 300 level, a senior level type class, and it had 22 students in it. 11 of them were seniors, 11 were juniors. And with just a few weeks left until graduation, I was excited to hear from the seniors to learn about what their plans were for the future. After all, they've spent all of this time in their high school years competing amongst their students to try to get the best grades, to try to have the best resume, to try to get into the colleges that they wanted to go to. And here they were at Merrimack College, and I wanted to hear about their experiences and what was next for them. So I was a little surprised with the responses that I got, and frankly, a little angry too. So I asked the students, tell me, what are your plans when you graduate in the next 3 or 4 weeks? Tell me, what's the job? What are you going to be doing? And sadly, the answer that I got from all 11 students was, I don't know. That made me feel really uncomfortable. Now, I understand if you're going to college where you expect to have a secondary degree, where you're going to go for your master's program or an MBA, or maybe even study to be a PhD or whatever else it might be. But it was always my understanding, and the understanding that I had when I was a child from my parents, that if you were going to college, you were going to college so you could learn a skill, so you could ultimately get a job. So I decided to probe a little bit further. I asked the students a little bit, I said, you worked so hard to get into Merrimack, and perhaps this was clearly the school that you chose based upon perhaps other colleges that were making offers to you. Why did you choose Merrimack? At first, I got some blank stares, and then one student raised his hand and he said, Mark, they gave me the most money. And I said, hey, that's a great reason of why to go to Merrimack College. Another student then had a little bit more courage and said, well, I went for the education. Sure, another great reason. I said, but when you were applying to Merrimack, or any college for that matter, during the tour or during your admissions, did they talk about the Career Center? And absolutely every head shook their head. They shook their heads. And I said, what type of help did you get from the Career Center as you approached your senior year? And many of them said to me, nothing. I said, no, wait a second. Did they help you perhaps prepare a resume? And they all agreed that they were given some help to prepare a resume. Well, that's part of the job of the Career Center. And I will admit that when we were in college, when I went to college, there used to be job fairs. Businesses would come to our schools to share what was so great about their businesses, and you could learn about it and learn about different types of industries, etc. But today, they generally don't have those job fairs anymore. What you need to do is you need to go to Indeed, or you need to go to some of these job searching sites and upload your resume. And I said, and how many of you did that? Every hand went up. They all uploaded their resumes. I said, how many resumes did you send? And some would say anywhere between 50 and 100 or more. And I said, and then what happened? They said, we didn't hear anything. I said, why do you think you didn't hear anything? And one student raised his hand and he said, Mr. Freedman, this is a very tough job market. And the students all agreed. They shook their heads. And I said, no. The reason that you get a job is you have to make some interactions. You have to take the initiative to reach out, to put yourself out there. I know even in a small firm like ours, we get resumes all day long from people. And I'm not even searching for employment. But there are tons of companies that post job offerings on Indeed and all these places, and they get inundated thousands and thousands and thousands of emails, many of them which are attached to simply a tag word that says, if you said you are interested in philosophy or accounting or, I don't know, can building, the resume went to that company. But how often do those companies reach out to the students? They don't. They really don't. It's up to the student to follow up, to reach out. And so I told the story of my son, Noah. Last year, my son Noah was a junior. He's a senior this year, and he's going on to a master's program at Boston University for biomedical engineering. But he was looking for an internship following his junior year at University of Rochester, and he was very frustrated. And I asked him, I said, Noah, did you send out resumes? Did you reach out to people? He says, yeah, Dad, I sent out hundreds of resumes to all sorts of internship opportunities that I could find on the internet. Right? I said, did you follow up? And I got this blank stare. I said, Noah, you have to differentiate yourself. You have to stand out from the crowd to let people know that you're truly interested, that you're just not master blasting out thousands of resumes to people with the hopes that they will call you. Because companies are not sitting around waiting for you to say, oh my God, that's the resume I was waiting for. You have to distinguish yourself. And so Noah decided to find about 10 companies that he really wanted to get an internship with and send out a follow-up email to them. And 5 of those companies sent him an email back saying, we're in the process of reviewing resumes. Thank you for your interest. We'll be in touch shortly. A week went by, and then another week went by. And I asked Noah, have you heard from any of those 5 companies? And he says, no, they just must be busy. I said, so you're just going to sit around anxiously waiting for someone to reach out to you and allow them to control your destiny and you not control what your future will look like? I said to Noah, why don't you pick up the phone and call these 5 companies? Find out who the people are that are reading these resumes. And Noah said to me, Dad, that's kind of awkward. You can't do that. And that surprised me, frankly. But it also reminded me again, when I talked to the students at Merrimack College, that's the same thing that they were feeling. They were waiting for someone to reach out to them for an interview, to get them involved. You need to put yourself out there. So here's what happened. Noah said, Dad, it's awkward. That's not how things are done. So what did Noah do? He reached out and called his big sister, Mindy. And when he told Mindy what the advice that I had given to him, he said, Mindy, isn't that ridiculous? And Mindy said, no, Corey, no, Noah, that's what you need to do. And so Noah did it. And he called. And 2 of those companies called him back. And 2 of those companies gave him interviews. That's all that happens. I mean, you need to take those initiatives. I've told my children, and you're going to think this is harsh, but I have told my children, and they'll tell you it's true, if you're going off to college, and I want you all to go to college if that's what you want to do, but when you graduate from college, you have to have the answer to this question. What are you doing following graduation? Are you going on to further education? Or do you have a job? Because if the answer is, I don't know, my answer to them is the door at home is now locked. I know that's harsh, but that's the kind of instruction we need to give to our children if we want them to be productive citizens as they get out into the workforce. They are our future. We can't continue to support them from the basement or the couch of our house and allow them to just wallow and wonder who's going to hire me. They need to get out there. They need to put themselves out there, take that first step, reach out, make a phone call, shake a hand, make contacts. And you as parents can't be doing that for them. They need to do it. It's hard. It takes some dedication on our part, and it takes a conversation between us and our children. But let's be real. You've just laid out an enormous amount of money for them to get an education. Perhaps they took out loans to get an education. The only way they pay back those loans is with a job. And that is what they went to college for. And that is some financial advice in a language you can understand. Have a great day.
During today's Dollars and Cents episode with Freedman Financial, your hosts may have discussed specific financial planning and investment ideas that are for general information only and not intended to provide specific advice or recommendations. Please remember that investing involves risk and may include loss of principal. Although the money market fund seeks to preserve the value of your investment at $1 per share, it is possible to lose money by investing in the fund. Always consult a certified financial planner professional, qualified attorney, or tax advisor prior to investing to determine what is appropriate for you. Securities and advisory services offered through LPL Financial, a registered investment advisor, member FINRA SIPC.